Welcome back to the channel, episode 3 of the mighty Motocompo restoration. Today in Sydney it's 37 degrees and that means right here in this shed it is hotter than the devil's dick. But the Motocompo goodness must continue. Last episode we stripped the Motocompo down from a complete bike, non-working however, down to the parts that you see here right behind me. Basically we've got ourselves a frame, some wheels, fuel tank and front forks. Now these are the rustiest of all the parts, and in this episode we are going to prepare them from paint. We're going to give them some rust treatment, so sit back, let's go. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is get the frame ready. There are a few parts on it that are just so rusted on there, they are almost impossible to get off, but it's been soaking again for a couple of days with the WD-40. We have to get this front peg off, and when I originally got the bike, this peg was just rusted in place. It couldn't move at all, but I freed it up over enough time. This shock absorber, this bolt is rusted on the back side, but I'm pretty sure it might come off today. And of course the mud guard and the battery tray is rusted in there pretty good. We've got the coil, those bolts there are just disgusting, and there's a few back here. So maybe a bit of violence with the rattle gun and those parts might finally come free. So where we sit right at this moment is the peg here. You can see that the pin moves with the peg, so I'm guessing that means the pin and the peg have become one inside each other, and they're going to fight me pretty good. I'm probably going to have to grind off the pin. So I had to grind the pins flat and then splay open where the pin goes through to lift it out. Now we've got one more bit left, and that is the ignition barrel. Hopefully this one doesn't present too much problems and it comes straight off. Ignition barrel off, but now we must remove the barrel from the bracket, and hopefully we are done with this bit. And voila, beautiful. Now that we've got all the parts off the frame, we are ready to dunk this in the bath, but we might as well pull all the other parts apart and we'll dunk them all in together. So we've got to pull apart the fuel tank, the shock absorbers, and take the tires off the rims. One of those rims was by far the rustiest thing I've ever seen. I think this bike might have been sitting in a mud puddle or something for it to rust that bad, but I'll get the tire off and you guys will have a look. Now that we've got the frame all prepped, ready to be submerged in the acid bath, we can then start doing the fuel tank. So that's the next cab off the list. Fuel tank is now complete, ready for the dunking. And have a look in there. It is pretty putrid. There is one tiny little rust hole here that I found so far. I'm sure I'm going to find a few more. One little rust hole, hopefully that is it, but I do have a trick to fix that as well. Next, wheels. So here we are, 2 wheels stripped from their tires, tiny little Motocompo wheels, the Motocompo Tiny Wheel Goodness. Only thing left to do on the front one is pull the bearing out and the little sleeve that's inside, and then that one's ready for some rust proofing. Hopefully it all comes out with enough metal on it, but time will tell. Only thing left to do now is the forks. We shall strip them down and then we're going to start setting it up for the tank. Now that we've got all the parts totally disassembled, they are ready to be put in the tank to de-rust them. So down here over my right shoulder here, there is a big black tank. We'll have a look what's in there. There you go. There's our parts in the tank. Now here I have another bucket of warm water. And then right here we have a tub of citric acid. Alrighty, that's the whole tank full with water with citric acid, and the citric acid will start doing its thing. Now if you haven't seen my other video, again like I mentioned, where I do use citric acid to clean a 2-stroke exhaust, this stuff is very mild. It won't burn your hands, it won't burn your fingers. That's why I was able to dig my hand in there and stir it up. It is a very mild acid and it works over time. So here are the parts. There you go, all submerged in their rusty goodness. From here I'm going to rummage around and find any other Motocompo parts that I can submerge in that tank as well, so might as well do them all at once. Now if you've been watching, thanks again, like, subscribe, see you on the next video where I'll pull them out and then we'll start to prep them for paint. Take it easy.